Okie dokie, this is a test animation for, or an example project for the group. This being both animation and somewhat of an introduction to how we're going to present rhetorics. So, kind of see, I drew this up and I tried making it a GIF. You can kind of tell it's not very slow. Well, it's pretty slow. So I don't know about that, but this was just to try and make it feel more alive, I guess, not such like the characters staring at you. But for the rest of them, and I had planned to make this 3 frames and interpolate them, or whatever the word is. So it doesn't look like it's just 2 images or 3 images, but actually looks like it's just statically variant. But considering how large they are, considering it's trying to be 720p, it looks pretty slow. And so as for most of the other ones, they're just templates like this. If this is how we plan to go about it, you kind of have these curves going around. That's just indicating this shading effect I was doing. I don't know. Okay, so now I'm going to try and read this script in the most animated voice I can have, and hopefully it's something worth working with. And it just works up the beginning, kind of like a guide to what Rhetoric is, why, and then somewhat phasing into talking about examples, but then of course there's no examples. But kind of to give you an idea, and the reason I have this image like the character going to the bag is just I was thinking of having, they got like a chalkboard they can write, or they can post up the images or the various examples, or we could just overlay that on top of everything. But he could be pulling it out of the bag or whatever. That's what I was thinking. So, okay, I'll try reading through this script that it's typed up on in the group folder. Okay, I think it's running. It should be. Oh, the light says yes. Okay, we're good to go. So here we have Ed. He's going to help us with showing you a little bit about a thing called rhetorics, or rhetorical situations. So what is it and why are we talking about it? We are talking about rhetorical reading skills. So we are talking about reading skills. And this is a type of deep reading skill. One of many to impress your teachers with, but also helps better understanding what you are reading and hearing. This applies more than just a text or reading, it can apply to just about everything. Reading rhetorically is like asking why. Why say this, or write it like that, or why someone else said this instead. It can be like asking why the writer, why they are writing, but it's more than that. That's only part of reading rhetorically. The power of rhetorical reading is to explain why what is said or written made the way it is. How is it formed? Type of thing. These kind of ideas apply to everything: writing, daily talking, letter to the editor, videos, speeches, and or but not limited to art. Simply, any format of communication can be viewed at rhetorically. So it's a big idea. Lots of essays and other works have, over the past 2 millenniums, have talked about it, trying to develop the concept. But this presentation is just a gift basket compared to what other works have tried to done. We are just going to show a basic guide and then apply some ideas to real life examples. First is, who is writing or talking? The author of any work is called the rhetor. The maker or the rhetor is important to know because they make the text or words, and who they are can explain a lot of why they say what they say, such as a politician or a young child. Next is audience. They are the people who receive the message. This can also be both the target people and those unexpected. The audience can also get a message different than what the purpose of the message was meant to say. These two things are important because the audience directs the speaker or the writer. Knowing the audience puts constraints on what the writers can say, and constraints are like a guide to help making the message. If you want to talk to some young kids or toddlers, it's best to leave the dictionary on the shelf and talk in more simple terms. Then we have this fancy word, exigence. It's basically asking why write. Asking why is like the most basic of deep reading skills. It's asking, what is this about? Why do we need to talk or write it? And what are they trying to do? Simply, exigence or motives. Lastly, for all of this to work, make sense and relate, you have to have context, or else you're gonna have a bad time. This is both what is literally said and expressed in the work. Then there's also the implied meaning. There is situations and knowledge the writer has and what the reader has. And there's even information of the situation that's beyond the two or more views. The context can explain the dynamics of many replies or discussions and can explain the work if it was effective. The focus of context is the situation. It can talk about the past, the present, and why this history. It can also talk about the future. But, I warn you. Let me warn you this. Whenever you're reading or talking about something rhetorically, you can be very general, and I even encourage you to be general. If you start explaining the work or what's going on or about it, then you're focusing on the context. If you start talking about the situation of what you think of the topic, then you have gotten trapped in the work. If you do not need to explain what you think of the topic in whatever work you're reading or analyzing. There is no who is right or who's wrong, only why was this said. That is the focus. But then even if you focus into the motives, then that too is a trap. If you go deeper and deeper into the rhetoric and the exigence, that's like going into deep psychology. You can go into that, but for simplicity, we're just being general and broad so you get a general understanding. It's a big topic, touches many different fields of thought, but all we're going to do is just connect a bunch of these ideas, make simple explanation of what we will be seeing. So as a demonstration, we're going to look at real-world examples, and we're going to focus on the topic of pro-guns versus pro-law debates. And what we're going to do when we talk about each example is how it was made and the kind of maker and making of it. And we're not going to be talking about who is right. We're just going to be explaining what's going on for that created the phrasing of such videos or comments or whatnot. And we'll paraphrase videos because those would be too long to watch. And when we're looking at such a topic of this field, often we're going to find patterns such as stereotypical comments from trolls. Now we're not going to be talking about trolls because they don't say anything with the intention of being constructive. And well, you just don't feed the trolls. Now, some labels are going to be used, but only for categorizing similar ideas. These are not for encouraging stereotypes of any sort, only collecting similar rhetoric ideas and explaining. So, let's have a look. And that's pretty much the introduction. Now this one, I tried to make it a bit more lower resolution. I think there's like 300 by 300 pixels or something. The image is a 16 by 9 ratio, like a high HD quality, but then I took down the pixels on this, hoping it would work faster. It doesn't look to be too good, but I also set it to move faster because I thought I could get away with that. But you kind of see how I intentionally made these lines trying to crawl, kind of like eddy and eddy style, as I kind of have my little double D guy here, Ed. Now I tried making this crawling thing just because, as emphasizing that I'm not caring too much on perfection. And as you can kind of see, there's one guy that I tried to make perfect, which is assuming just the natural defect of my drawing would do the work. Seems to have done just as nice. And hopefully, if we do try this, it is simple, and now it takes me about an hour and a half for each frame, but there aren't many left, and as you can see, it's just one image. So all we have to do is just place in all of these images, and it's quick animation, relatively. So I've just gotten these 2 frames done and a few templates of so there's him standing. You may have noticed the wave, and that's like the only time I use that. Then there's getting the bag, going into the bag, and then placing something up on the board somewhere. Yeah, there we go, placing up stuff on the board. And I just shade this kind of like how it is, just for simplicity, no need for coloring. I don't know. So, hopefully that gets the example across, or my ideas across better than me trying to explain it. And hopefully I didn't botch this script up so bad that it just sounds horrible. Okay, so yeah. So I don't know if you guys still want this thing like this GIF or more of the simplistic things, just because maybe that's bugging. I know some people don't like the crawling animation, but this is just 2 frames. So yeah. Oh, and I had music in the background because I thought music would be good. Okay.